In this video we're going to start to look at everybody's favourite topic, algebra. We're going to start by looking at solving equations. This is the first video in a series that will talk you through everything from one-step equations all the way up to the more complex equations. So to start off with, this is what I would call a one-step equation. It has a variable x, and we don't know what that is yet, but I know that when I add 5 to it I get the answer of 20. And in this example, a w, which again I don't know, take away 4 gives me 2. Now it's fairly easy to see what these things are, but it's quite important that we get some really basic groundwork in place so that we're able to solve the more complicated algebra. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this step by step. To undo this plus 5 here, I'm going to do the opposite of it. So the opposite of add 5 is subtract 5. And I'm going to stick a little arrow onto the side just telling me exactly what I've done. Now I drop my equals sign down. The golden rule of algebra is whatever I do on one side I've got to do to everything on the other side. So I'm going to take away 5 there as well. Okay, 20 take away 5 is 15, and if I've got x, add 5, take away 5, all I'm left with is the x giving me my answer line, x equals 15, which I underline. Okay, on to the second one. W take away 4 equals 2. Well, the opposite, the inverse of take away 4 is to add 4. So I'm going to do add 4 to both sides here. I drop my equals sign down just to keep everything nice and neat and organised. 2 add 4 is 6, and W take away 4 add 4 just leaves me with the W. So W equals 6. In this example, instead of adding or subtracting, this 3 is actually multiplying the B. It's very small, we don't bother to write it, but that is 3 times b. So I need to think to myself, what's the opposite of times by 3? Which of course is divide 3. So on both sides of this I'm going to divide by 3. Now 12 divided by 3 is 4, and if I've got 3 times b and then I divide by 3, I'm just left with b equals 4. In this fourth example, a, my variable, is being divided by 3, giving me an answer of 5. The opposite of divide by 3 is to times by 3. So I'm going to multiply by 3 both sides of this equation, drop my equal sign down, keep it all lined up. 5 times 3 is 15. And a divided by 3 times by 3 just leaves me with a. Underline my answer. Here are 4 for you to have a go at. Pause the video here and then we'll go through the answers. Okay, in this first one then, x plus 3, I'm going to need to do the opposite, the inverse of add 3, which is subtract 3. Drop my equals sign down and I get an answer of x equals 10. In this one I need to do the inverse of subtract 5, which is add 5, and that leaves me with w equals 12 plus 5, 17. In this one I need to do the inverse of multiply by 4, which is divide by 4, and that's going to leave me with 10 divided by 4, which is 2.5, and that's okay, I can have decimals in my answers, and b equals 2.5. And in the very last example I need to think about the opposite of divide by 4, which is what's happening here, and that's obviously multiply by 4. So 2 times 4 is 8, equal signs all lined up, and a divided by 4 times by 4 just leaves me with a. So a equals 8. Here are 4 more examples for you to have a go at. Pause the video here, try these out yourself, and then I'll go through the answers. Okay, in this first one then, don't let the fact that this is 3.5 throw you off. We're still going to do the inverse of it. So the opposite of add is subtract, and the opposite of add 3.5 is to subtract 3.5. Now I've got to do this from both sides of my equation. So x plus 3.5 take away 3.5 is just x, and 10 take away 3.5 is 6.5, giving me my answer. In this one I need to do the inverse of take away 4, which is add 4, and that's going to happen to both sides of the equation, giving me w equals 5. In this one, I need to do the inverse of multiply by 3, which is divide by 3, of course. 18 divided by 3 equals 6, and 3b divided by 3 is b. And in the very last example, n is being divided by 6. I need to do the opposite, the inverse of divide by 6, which of course is times by 6, giving me 5 times 6, which is 30, and n over 6 multiplied by 6 just leaves me with n for my final answer. Well done if you got all 4 of those correct on both sets of these questions. You're now ready for solving equations number 2. Thanks for listening.